Say you went fishing and you caught a fish that weighed 20 pounds, and then when you went to tell people about it, you said it weighed 60 pounds. That would be an example of what a hyperbole is, a purposely exaggerated figure of speech. Hyperbole doesn't just have to be a figure of speech, it can also be a poem like Sarah Sylvia's Cynthia Stout My Shelves Never Seen. Sarah Sylvia's Cynthia Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the ham and spice the hams. And though her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. And so it piled up to the ceiling, coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown bananas, rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the can, it covered the floor, it cracked the window and blocked the door, with bacon rinds and chicken bones and drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, orange peel, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crust with withered greens, soggy beans and tangerines, crust of blackburn, buttered toast, gristly bits of beefy roast. The garbage rolled down on the hall, it raised the roof, it broke the wall. Greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, globs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from green bologna, rubbery blubbery macaroni, pizza, peanut butter, caked and dry, curdled milk and crusts of pie, moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold French fries and rancid meat, yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last the garbage reached so high that it finally touched the sky, and all her neighbors moved away, and none of her friends would come to play. And finally Sarah Sylvia Cynthia Stout said, "Okay, I'll take the garbage out." But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached across the state, from New York to the Golden Gate. And there in the garbage she did hate, poor Sarah met an awful fate, that I cannot now relate, because the hour is much too late. Will children remember Sarah Stout and always take the garbage out? And so it piled up to the ceiling. That's one of the first parts of the poem where hyperbole is used. What I think the author is trying to teach from this poem is he was warning children that they should always take the garbage out. When the author says, "and so it piled up to the ceiling," the garbage obviously wasn't piling up to the ceiling, but it could have started to collect. Also, when the author says, "and all the neighbors moved away," the neighbors probably didn't move away, but the trash probably had started to smell. With the author exaggerating in the poem, I think he really emphasizes the point. This is the poem I wrote. There once was a man who was very fat. He left a hole wherever he sat. One day he woke up and called out for his cat, and found him flat where he had sat. Now what do you think of that? I think this poem shows hyperbole well. Like in the second line, he left a hole wherever he sat. A person's not really going to leave a hole where they sat, but they could leave an imprint, or a man's not really going to be heavy enough to smush a cat flat, unless he's really, really, really fat. I think that this is a lot more effective to exaggerate rather than just stating the facts. Like in poetry, it makes things more interesting to exaggerate than just say what's happening.